Yes, that really pushed me to open up the Amazon UK account. It's not as hard as people think. The biggest thing is getting the VAT account set up, the value added tax. So I was able to find someone, an accountant on Fiverr. So she helped me out, got that set up. But now my biggest hurdle is, importing and dealing with customs. So I've been having some issues along the way and just learning as I go.
Hello and welcome to the Wholesale Made Easy podcast, where we believe selling on Amazon shouldn't be hard, and we're going to prove it. My name is Dylan Carter, and I'm one of the co-founders at VinDrive, a tool that helps Amazon wholesale sellers streamline their businesses, stay organized, and land more profitable accounts. I'm sitting down with other successful wholesale sellers, and together we're sharing lessons learned and what it really takes to succeed with wholesale. Today we had Brandon and Rudolph come back onto the podcast to talk about what he's been up to since we last spoke in December, talking about selling on the UK market, the incredible amount of opportunity there, partnering with brands for retainer fees, and his first experience going to a trade show. All right, Brandon. So walk me through kind of like, it's been a hot minute, dude. Has it been a year? I feel like it's been.
We spoke in December.
Yeah.
Initially.
Oh my God. It feels like a year though. That's crazy.
At the same time, it feels like a blink of an eye because it just flew by.
Yeah, but so much has changed. So much has changed for your business model, what you're doing, where you're going in 2020, which we're going to talk about. But fill us in from, our last conversation where you were kind of getting started, but you had the systems kind of figured out and you're really like, hey, I want to focus more on like systems and automation and really like scaling. So what's happened since that first podcast episode?
I would say since your podcast or since the podcast launched, I started listening every Monday on my commute to work. I listen to the newest podcast. So what the one that really resonated with me was with Amy Weiss and Nathan Hirsch with the free app. So I took advantage of both of those and just started, diving right into optimizing listings and just reaching out to more VAs. So right now, listening to your podcast and taking action, I have 3 VAs in place, and I'm helping 2 different brands, optimize their listings. And I'm at the point now they're paying me a monthly retainer just to manage their storefront for them. So it's really, I've got a lot of value from this podcast and from the people that you have on it. So
cool. It's
just a matter of taking action from it and just because with Amazon, the possibilities are endless, I've found. So one thing leads to another and it opens up like 10 different doors.
It can. And what's crazy, I was talking about this, I literally at lunch today, I was like, it's kind of dumbfounding to me how much knowledge is there. And even if you just look at our little baby ecosystem, if you just look at the amount of data that's there, the amount of resources and knowledge, and not just from me, right? Like our whole little community here, it's incredible. But the amount of people that execute on that knowledge is so small. And, I'll have people be like, well, Dylan, I feel like I'm just missing that last piece of the puzzle. I'm like, yeah, that last piece of the puzzle is execution. It's just doing it. Right. And
right.
So I'm glad to hear you say, hey, I listened to Nathan Hirsch. I got VAs. I listened to Amy Weiss. I learned how to, optimize listings, which by the way, she went super in depth. I was not ready for that. I was like over here taking notes too. I was like, oh my God, but you use it.
To that podcast 5 times. Yeah.
Yeah, man. I feel like you have to, right? There's so much gold in there. So wait, real quick. So you have 3 VAs. What are they doing for you right now? Like kind of where's their focus?
For example, in March, my wife and I went to our first trade show. It was a global pet in Orlando, and it was an overwhelming experience, but I recommend, we can talk about it a little bit later, but
definitely we're going to talk about
that. That's invested in wholesale to go to a trade show. But I had my VA beforehand. I got her the list of all the vendors, so I had her go line by line just to figure out what products are selling on Amazon from each vendor, and then I guess the rank, if Amazon's on the listing. So I had different criteria. So from the hundreds of manufacturers and distributors at Global Pet, she was able to narrow down like the 50 that I wanted to talk to. I mean, 50 is a very small number. I mean, compared to the whole she's like, I could have talked to probably 300, but and even if it was 30, just because the 2 days I was there was just not enough time. It was just. Have you ever been to the Orlando Convention Center? It was in one wing of the four. It's four quadrants. It was in one wing, and there was thousands of brands, manufacturers, distributors. So it was massive.
I could see that being super overwhelming. And really 50, like, it might not seem like a lot in comparison, but it really is. I mean, that's 50 suppliers to talk to in a short period of time. Yeah, I've never heard of somebody using a VA to essentially do research beforehand, because this has been my biggest issue with trade shows, or like the trade show no show method of sourcing, is you don't really know where to focus your efforts, because yeah, there might be thousands of brands, but what if only 3 are really on Amazon and doing well? Do I really want to look at 900 other ones that, yeah, I can kind of launch them and bring them to Amazon, but that's still a huge number to focus on to figure it out. So I'm glad you did that, because it's easier to scale a VA's time than it is yours, right? Because you already have so much going on. So you basically build like a target list. So when you show up, supplier number 1, that's where I'm going, and 2, 3, you just work through that list. So that's really cool.
It's also been valuable too. That any downtime that I have, I go back through that list and I reach out to the brand directly, say, hey, I saw you guys at Global, and then I just try to follow up and create an account with them. So it's really, she put a lot of time into it. I put a little bit of money, but it's really paid off in dividends.
Very cool. So what about the other 2? So you have 3, right?
Yeah. The other two are focusing on sourcing. So I have certain criteria. I mean, right now, just sourcing for any, distributors and the categories that I'm focusing, and I'm looking to branch out into new categories, because I'm heavily invested in one, but I know there's other opportunities in, sport and outdoors, for example, or home and kitchen. So at first, earlier this year, I wanted to focus just on one category, but I know there's a lot of opportunity, and I just don't want to have all my eggs in one basket.
Yeah, I'm kind of that same way too. Like, I don't like going too deep into a category. It's nice to spend some time in a single category to wrap your head around it, but I don't like to be like, I only sell, pets or, home and kitchen, because there is so much opportunity. I feel like you just end up restricting yourself way too much. So let's kind of jump into brands paying you a retainer to manage their account, because that's pretty interesting. And I'm starting to see this happen more frequently than it used to.
Right. So it was about 6 months ago, I created just this really small Fiverr gig. And from that, it was kind of a feeder system to just multiple inquiries per day. And then I noticed there was a huge demand from small companies that, don't understand Amazon and just need that help, from someone that has experience like ourselves. So it kind of, my first 2, I didn't really know what I was doing in terms of payment or what to charge them. So I charged them a really low dollar amount, offer them a ton of value, put a lot of time into it. And from there, when I mentioned about setting up a monthly retainer, because I initially charged them, per item, X amount of dollars per, ASIN. And then from there, we set up a monthly retainer. Well, once I proposed that, because I wasn't sure what to expect, but they know I put a lot of time into it, and, I'm able to respond to them, via email or text daily. So just throwing out a dollar amount, we came to a figure that works for both of us. And if I go over X amount of hours, they'll pay me, a few dollars or X amount of dollars per hour after that. So it's been great. My time right now is just, I don't have a lot of it, so I need to just maximize my time until my wife and I move. But I'm glad that I've been able to land those, 2 or 3 accounts, because I've been learning myself, and I've taken the knowledge that I've learned from your podcast as far as like listing optimizations, the PPC, and applying it to these brands. So it's just, I'm constantly learning and constantly, looking for, new sources, new podcasts to listen to, just to keep learning.
Yeah, that's great. And what you can, and something you should consider doing, is bringing on another VA to help you with that side of the business, right? Because that's going to help you kind of scale out a bit more. And is that kind of what you're focusing on with those clients? I'll call them clients. Is it really like listing optimization and PPC, or is there a bit more in terms of what's required of you to fulfill that?
It's more the one brand. It's seasonal, so just having all the products listed by the next big season, say like 4th of July. So by end of May, having all their products listed, shipments were created, getting them sent in. So just having a game plan, and just for me, just the list, have everything listed at least, and then from there I can kind of critique their listings and kind of optimize it as I go.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense, because it's very easy to like overcomplicate things, be like, oh, they probably want this and then that, and you're like, actually they just want like a handful of things that seem basic to us, but to them they're like, dude, that's a lot. And you're like, I guess I just know what I'm doing now.
but starting out with both, they have these expectations in their head. They're like, once we're on Amazon, they think they're just going to sell out immediately,
and that never happens.
I had to tell them, yeah. So you have to put some money on the front end with the PPC and the marketing, to gain traction and reviews. So now they realize that, and the reviews are coming in organically. And next season, this time next year, they'll be doing really well in whichever, because they sold some St. Patrick's Day items, so that they saw a huge bump in St. Patrick's Day, like right around March, and then it fell off. But from that, they were able to get a lot of reviews, and just their ranks shot up pretty high. So next year, they're more established. So I would suggest a little bit less PPC and then more organic sales.
I love it. That's really cool. How did you find the face-to-face with distributors at the event you went to?
At Global, it was hit or miss. I would say people, either some brands or distributors, were just bombarded with Amazon sellers, and they would just upfront tell
Yeah.
But I kind of had some leverage as I just started selling in the UK. So I would kind of use that. Once I had to hear what they had to say, I'd be like, okay, well, I am selling in the UK, so if you are interested. And then from there, kind of piqued their interest. So they were able to talk to me a little bit longer, and then, possibly work together.
That's huge. Like I keep saying, find what suppliers want. And again, it's always like, it's not your money. And it's always something you kind of like least expect. But if they're really wanting to go UK or expand outside of the US market or Canadian market, or go into the Canadian market, and you're that person, that's huge. That's a huge advantage. And it's really not even like a crazy advantage where it's like you're the only person, but people are just like unwilling to establish themselves in a different marketplace, understand the logistics of it,
right,
and make that their advantage. So that's huge.
Yes, that really pushed me to open up the Amazon UK account. It's not as hard as people think. The biggest thing is getting the VAT account set up, the value added tax.
Yeah.
So I was able to find someone, an accountant on Fiverr. So she helped me out, got that set up. But now my biggest hurdle is, importing and dealing with customs. So
yeah.
I've been having some issues along the way, and just learning as I go.
That's pretty big. Yeah. And so many people kind of shy away when they go, I don't know how to do that. And then they just never pursue it. It's like, no, like say, I don't know how to do that, and then go figure it out. So that's cool. I'm proud that you're not seeing these as roadblocks. You're seeing them as opportunities. And just, I mean, the fact that you found somebody on Fiverr to get your VAT for you is kind of cool, because everybody's like, oh my God, it's so expensive. You're like, Fiverr, done. So that's kind of big.
It was maybe $100, if that. So I mean, it's so relatively cheap and a business expense. So
yeah, exactly. Exactly. I mean, nobody really considers a lot of those things as like a write-off, right? It's just like, oh, it just costs me money. It's like, yeah, not really. Not from like an accounting standpoint or tax standpoint.
Right. And also from Global, I was able to connect with one of the community members, Joseph Sazo.
Okay.
So from that, we've really teamed up, and, we tag team. We work with, we're trying to, focus on the UK together. So we've been having some luck with brands interested in working with us in possibly a co-exclusive deal.
Okay.
So he's just great, because he's full-time. He started with OA, I believe, and RA. Now he's kind of transitioning to wholesale. And because I posted that I was going to Global in the Facebook group, it kind of prompted him to go, because he lives in the Florida area. So it was his first trade show, and it really opened his eyes to wholesale. So it's kind of opening up a whole new door and more opportunities for him.
I never thought about a co-exclusive agreement, but when you said it, I'm like, that makes so much sense, because it gets rid of the brand's perspective of, oh no, there's only one seller. What if you screw us over? To like, no, there's a few of us, right?
Yeah, because I have my strengths and he has his, so we work
Yeah,
together, and it's just a good fit for us.
that's really cool. I like when community members start to work together and find unique partnerships, because guys, there's so much opportunity here. It's ridiculous. Whether it's somebody has more capital, but you have more time, that's a perfect kind of combination there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, right. So it works really, really well. Now, I've been following your issues with prep centers in the Facebook group.
Just
So
one.
for those who are prep center, should I say, and we won't name them, but for those who don't know, especially if you're just listening to the podcast, walk us through what went wrong with the with the prep center and how that's kind of transpired and gone forward.
It's been a nightmare, and at one point I was ready to put it to bed or put it to rest, but a lot has happened in the past few months. But I've been using this prep center. They're located in Delaware. I found them on, I did a little bit of due diligence, like Google reviews and one other website, no issues. So we started working together in around April of 2018. No issues. So I would text, email, call the guy or the owner of the prep center, no problem. So everything was great. I would send in multiple shipments per month. And then Q4 hit, so right around November, the text and emails were less and less frequent, and I was starting to panic a little bit. And then right around the end of November, December, like all communication stopped, and I had about $1,400 in product that was just sitting in his warehouse. So scary
That's
stuff.
scary. That's very scary.
Yeah. So I kind of reached out to the community a little bit here and there, and then from January on, a lot has transpired. So January, someone from his warehouse reached out to me, who I've never spoken with before, which is kind of a red flag. He said that, well, I don't want to get into too much detail, but the owner had some family issues, and basically it was, I guess, from talking to other people that I found through, Facebook and other methods who had the same issues. This person had a practice or a behavior of doing the same type of practice. So he would gain the trust in you, build up the rapport, and then just cut off all communication. So it's really escalated. I was able to get in touch with someone on Facebook. So his friend had been working with the same prep center. He had lost a significant more amount of money than I have. And it's really transpired into a criminal issue. So we teamed up with, we both filed cases with the Delaware Attorney General. So if, a few more possible customers that has used the prep center, if they come out and just say that they had the same issues, file a claim with the Attorney General, hopefully the Attorney General will take on the case and come after this guy. Because, $1,400 is a lot for me, but this other customer that I've been speaking with had almost $100,000 taken of inventory, stolen from him. So it's been a headache. And I actually, thank goodness I have insurance through Ashland Haddon. I have her e-commerce insurance, but it turns out since my deductible was $1,000, so it didn't really make sense to file a claim. But if it was $5,000 or $10,000, having that extra insurance or protection would have been great. But I feel great that I have the insurance, and recommend that all sellers get it. So it's kind of a learning experience, and just hopefully I'll keep you guys updated on any updates with the Attorney General of Delaware.
That's so crazy to me. And what's even more crazy is the fact that that person would make more money by just running a legitimate business for a long period of time and growing it. That's what's dumbfounding to me. It's like you just got rid of all this opportunity for yourself to keep inventory. That what are you going to do? Sell it on Amazon yourself? So
right.
I don't get it. It's really weird. And this is the first time I've ever heard of this happening. I know a lot of people have concerns with prep centers, and the context of the concern I've always heard is, what if they just do a bad job? Not like, what if they stop texting me or responding to my emails and they just steal my inventory? I've never even considered that.
Yeah, they did a great job when they were, active and we were working together. But then then they just stopped all communication. And if you look at their Google reviews now, it's the same trend. Like exact same thing happened. Not only to me, just to all the customers. They just stopped all communication.
That's crazy. So are you working with another prep center? Are you completely turned off of prep centers now?
No, actually, there was another member of the community. They referred me to a local prep center in Virginia. So I'm actually going to see the guy today because we're actually friends. I mean, we text all the time, and I really trust him. But from this learning experience, before I started working with this prep center, I did my due diligence. I went make sure it was a legitimate site and just make sure that everything checked out. So I'm happy to report I have a new prep center, and he handles most of my wholesale pallets.
I like that, and that really speaks to the importance of having that insurance as well. Because initially, like before talking to Ashlyn, on the podcast, I'm like, do you really need that? Like, I've never had issues, but it's like any other kind of like insurance, right? It's like you're like, oh, that's just an added cost. It is until you need it. Right? Like if you had, let's say, 5-10 grand get stolen in that situation, that $1,000 deductible, not a big deal. Like I'll trade that all day, every day. So it does kind of speak to the importance of having insurance and covering yourself, because that is a lot of money. Regardless of how much it is, it's still a lot.
Yeah, and unfortunately, the other customer that used the prep center didn't have it. But I referred him to Ashlyn. So, so moving forward, it was a learning experience for him.
It was an expensive learning experience. Don't do that. Oh man, that's rough. All right. So you've been growing the business. You've been adding some new kind of revenue channels. I like how creative you've been. One, in the growth, two, in the way you're bringing in revenue, because it's not just buy low, sell high kind of stuff, right? There's other opportunities here that you're taking advantage of. And you guys said you and your wife are moving, right? Very shortly here.
We are, yeah.
So lots of changes.
In the next 2 weeks, yeah. Moving to Charlotte. Cost of living is going to go down significantly.
I like it.
We're getting a huge house, so I have a 2-car garage that I can work out of. So I'm really excited. So just big changes.
It's like the whole like geo arbitrage, like move somewhere that's like mad cheap but still make really good money. I really like that stuff. Today's episode is brought to you by GoAura.com, our AI-based repricing tool. If you're ready to take your sales to the next level, repricing is the way to go. No more manually adjusting your prices each day. Let our AI actually do the heavy lifting for you. And if you're sick of repricing tools dropping their activity and leaving you in the dark, Aura can help. With smart repricing strategies, an optimized platform, and instant repricing, Aura both reprices faster and holds the buy box for 65% more time than competing repricers. If you're ready to experience repricing reimagined, head over to GoAura.com to start your 14-day free trial.
She's seen the way that our business has grown, and our garage now is just not enough. Some weeks we're just filled to the top with inventory until UPS comes for the pickup. And then the next stage is filled back up. So we've outgrown that space, and happy to double the space, the square footage.
So how do you split between using the garage and using a prep center between your inventory? How do you make that distinction?
A lot of I would say all pallet shipments or pallet orders from the distributors go to the prep center, just because my HOA at my townhouse will not like that right now.
They're like, no semi trucks are allowed to come through here.
Yeah. If it's something manageable that my wife and I can bundle together, because we like doing that, just small orders, we'll do it. But for the larger orders that are more of a headache, I'll outsource that to the prep center. So I guess I don't really have any set criteria on the reason why, except for the pallet. But it's kind of like if I see something and I'm like, yeah, I think we can do that, we'll get it out, end of the week. Gotcha.
Okay. So has your wife, because I don't remember like when we had the first episode, has she kind of transitioned into more of a role with the business too, or just kind of like taking on responsibilities and helping out more so than before?
Yeah, she's really seen the business grow, and now she's diving in every day. I finally set her up with the Seller Central app.
That's great.
She's probably checking it more than me now.
That's so cool.
But I got her set up with Inventory Lab, which I have to say I didn't have it for the longest time. So 3 months ago, I finally got Inventory Lab, and I regret not having it
Dude,
before that.
I did the same thing, and then I got it, and I was like, why did I wait for so long? It's so much like data access that like I literally made profitable decisions from looking at the excuse me, looking at the data within Inventory Labs. I'm like, no, the 70 grand or 70 grand, the $70 a month it costs, I think it's $70 a month.
Yeah,
Like it's way cheap. It's
50, I
so
think.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's so cheap. Like it's one of those things where when people ask, what tools do I need to have? There's really not many, but I usually end up saying Inventory Labs is ground zero. It's cheap, it works really well, and it gives you access to data to make really smart and profitable decisions easily. That's huge.
yeah, and I have a better grasp of my numbers. Before, like I was doing accounting manually, and let me just tell
Oh,
you,
it's rough,
by about
dude.
Q4, I was just losing my mind.
Were you doing like per
And so,
unit?
yeah, well, I had a Google
Okay.
spreadsheet, and just,
Yeah.
yeah, line by line. So it was
Oh
just
man.
probably not very accurate. but but now I feel more comfortable knowing and having a better understanding of my profit each month, and just delegating, where that money goes, and it's so much better than this Google spreadsheet.
Dude, I'm telling you, man, like you get onto systems, regardless of what the systems are, or where you're focusing, everything within your business comes down to like a major or a subsystem, right? So finances is a system. And I know we're going to talk about this too, is like profit first, like Mike McAllowitz, like what he describes in that book is a financial system or protocol, excuse me, whatever you want to call it, to apply to a business when it comes to the finances. So you don't have to think like, should I do this or should I do that? No, like follow the system, make decisions based off that system. And it's actually really kind of easy. Like my business actually started to do really well when I first read that book and implemented it. And I was like, I am overspending on so many things. And I reduced all that down.
Yeah,
And all of a sudden, surprise, surprise, I had more profit left over.
exactly. Yeah, I mean, like last year, for example, I made a X amount of dollars, and I see that I'm like, where did this money go? Because once I get my Amazon deposit, it's going right back out to paying off credit cards or anything else outstanding. So now I have a system set up. So I'm putting X amount for profit, taxes. So I have about 5 or 6 different accounts. So I delegate each one a certain percentage of the deposit. And it's really the 2 or 3 months that I've implemented it, it's really made a change. And, it's good for me to see, actually my profit account actually growing.
Yeah, it's so weird because when we think about profit within the context of like an Amazon business, it's like, that's what I get. It's like, no, you can pay yourself something, but like the profit of the business is the profit of the business. Like, yes, you should use it, but Mike McAllowitz talks about like, no, let your profit build so that you can, have enough money to hire somebody for a full year and have cash to pay for that, or, whatever kind of things that pop up. Or maybe, at the end of the year, you say, yeah, I don't really need anything right now, but I'll give myself half of that to go enjoy. Like that's part of owning a business. It's not just what do I get paid this month? Like, no, like be able to take out, 10 grand at the end of the year because, you have a $20,000 profit and then go buy a boat, do whatever the hell you want. Right. So you're automating more, right? Is that what I'm sensing?
Yeah, I know, the goal is to be replaceable.
Oh,
So just,
yes. I like it. You've been paying attention, Brandon, and I like it.
so just automating as much as I can. And I mean, I still enjoy sourcing. It's just, I don't know, partly therapeutic for me. I've been doing it for so long, and it just takes my mind off of it. So I still enjoy, sourcing maybe a few hours a week, not as much as I used to now that I have VAs, but it's just finding the things that I like to do more and just focusing on that, like sourcing, and then just dealing with daily issues like removing bad customer feedback, just little things.
Yeah. And the Replaceable Founder by, Ari Meisel talks about like, it's not getting rid of the things you do like to do. It's just being in a position where like you don't have to do them. So it's not like you have to hire a VA to source for you so that, you can never source even if you enjoy it. It's like, no, like you can still source. It's just added effort. Right.
Right.
And I'm obsessed with this idea of, your business is set up like a machine with the systems perfectly integrated that if you step away for a month and you come back, your business is still growing. And you're like, I put in zero input from me, but somehow the business kept growing. And that's a beautiful distinction between, owning your own job and running an actual business. Like what a lot of people say, they own a business, and you look at it, you're like, no, you created a job for yourself, which is fine. But know that, right? Understand the differences between an actual business, which is its own little organism that can run without you, versus if you don't send anything in and you don't source, you don't get anything out of it. So when you start to understand that, you go, crap, I need to find people who can source for me. I need people who can prep for me. I need people who can, ship in for me, so that if I don't do those things for, a month, 2 months, doesn't matter. They still get done. Like that's huge.
Yeah, because there's a lot of pressure if you're the sole, I guess if you're the sole owner of the business, just make sure you source all the prepping, packing, handling your seller central account. So I've learned to delegate. It costs a little bit more, but I feel less stressful, and I'm happy that I've started the process. And I also want to mention that listening to Larry Labarsky, his podcast, or I think it was episode 6 or 7, when he talked about, he understands, he has his intellectual property in his head of what he actually does on a daily basis. So it had me start to think, if something were to happen to me, no one would know what I do on a daily basis. So just writing that down and, teaching my wife as much as I can, because if something were, God forbid, to happen to me, that would be really important for her to, step in and take control.
You do your business and the people around you a massive disservice when you keep everything in your head. This is why we're big fans of having an external brain, writing SOPs, like being able to say, if you read this documentation, it will tell you everything of my business. So if you need it, so if you, let's say, God forbid, get put into a coma for, again, 2 months. Well, if you don't do anything, assuming you don't have the machine kind of running optimally, then nothing will really happen. Maybe not that big of a deal, but potentially, right? So you want to be able to say, hey, can you go source for me? I don't know how to source. Perfect. Just read the documentation. I wrote the SOP, right? If you can read the SOP, you can do it. You're not going to do it as good as me, and that's normal, right? We need 80% as well as we do. That's perfectly acceptable, but you have to have those things written out, because gone are the days of, I'm the business owner, I should know, and only I should know the IP. It's wrong, right? No, you should have those externally somewhere so you can say, hey, I don't want to source anymore, but I can show you exactly how I do it, which is important, because a lot of people, when they start to go the route of virtual assistants and hiring people, it's usually for sourcing. And a lot of them do it too early, and they don't really know how to source.
I agree. I tell the inquiries that I get from potential clients or people on Fiverr that are interested in just learning about Amazon, that's one of the first things that they ask is like, I want to, do X amount of, I think we talked about this, X amount of sales, within 30 days, I want to outsource everything and just view it as a passive income stream. And it's not like that at all. So up front, I tell them, I'm like, you have to put in the work, and as much work as you put in, that's, the results will follow.
Yeah. I feel mean for saying this, but I tried to paint such a realistic picture, because I'll have people reach out, be like, well, I just quit my job. I want to do this. Starting from scratch. I need to make $6,000 in 30 days. I go get a job. That's it. Like, I don't know what else to tell you, because the fact that you need money right now to pay your bills tells me you're not going to be able to make smart decisions, and you're never going to build a business, because every dollar it makes, you're going to siphon off way too early. Like I keep telling people, stop thinking about this idea of being a quote unquote perfect entrepreneur. I quit my job, and then, 2 months later I was making 6 figures. Like that's an outlier. That's a marketing ploy. Focus on, you know what? I'm going to commit a year to growing this Amazon business. I'm going to keep working in my job. I don't love it, but that means I can compound my money for an entire year. So when I go to quit, I'm not spending $5,000 a month. I'm spending 120. That's huge. And so you sacrifice for a year to have a massive business. So when you go to leave, and they're like, why are you leaving? Because I have a 7-figure Amazon business. That's why. It's costing me money to stay here. Like that's an easy decision versus just, I want passive income. Like, I'm sorry, Amazon is not a passive income thing. I don't care if it's private label. It's not passive. Somebody has to do the work.
Right.
It's dumbfounding to me.
Yeah. Like I've been working on this business for 3 years, and I'm finally comfortable leaving my job. I mean, it's partially because we are moving, but I am comfortable. I have multiple revenue streams and the Amazon business. So I feel comfortable, giving the full-time thing a shot and just, pursuing other opportunities.
And you've been working hard for three years too. Cause I remember when we first started talking, just, casually, me and you're like, no, dude, I'm working here. I'm, doing personal training and I'm growing the Amazon business. Like I have no time. I'm like, good.
Yeah. It's still just as busy.
Yeah. But that's how you actually want it. Because if you're willing to put in that kind of effort and you're okay working 40 hours a week to work 80 hours a week to do the thing that you really enjoy doing, that's a huge green light to me, and you got to understand that too. Like being an entrepreneur is not trading 40 hours a week for 20 or 4. It's trading 40 for 80, like guaranteed. That's how this works. At least for the first like 5 years,
And I know I still enjoy it because even after a long day of, training clients, working full time, and my long commute, I still look forward to the 1 or 2 hours that I apply to, shipments or sourcing after everything each day. Well, not each day, but, maybe 4 or 5 days a week.
Yeah. And it helps you focus on what's important.
It's just I still enjoy it. I don't dread it. Maybe the bond moving a little bit, but
You're kind of breaking up a little bit.
it's showing poor connection. Is it better?
Yeah, it's a little bit better now.
I was just gonna say, for my wife and I, it's a good chance for us, just because we're both so busy, to spend time together.
It's like productive time. Yeah.
Yeah, because we're able to converse during that time too, while we're bundling or just labeling all those
Yeah.
FN SKUs.
No, I love it. So where are you going? Because I know you're kind of dead set now on 7 figures by 2020. What do you think needs to happen for you, for your business, for you to accomplish that goal? Like what's the difference between where you are now versus 7 figures in 2020?
Dylan, being a true entrepreneur, I hate to turn down any opportunity, but for me, I'm getting to a point I need to start doing that and just focusing on my core business, which, wholesale. And I think the just working with the different brands, just the consulting. Because, I mean, there's so many opportunities once you put in the time and you have, I don't know, it's just opened up so many more doors for me.
It's hard.
It is, yeah, because I have a hard time saying no. And
Yeah.
for me, I hate turning down opportunities, which equals money. So
yeah, for sure.
tough.
Well, and it's hard to rationalize it because mathematically you're like, I would lose money if I don't take this. But something I've learned a lot this past year or 2 years, because I've been in a similar situation, and I have people reach out asking like, hey, like, I want to pay you for mentorship or consulting. And I'm like, hey, that's really cool. But no, and it pains me to say that, right? Because yeah, it would be easy for me to take on $5,000 a month in consulting fees, but that's not what I want. That's not like the goal here, right? So you do have to get really good at saying no and understanding that, at least from my humble opinion, a lot of the long-term success comes from being laser focused for a very long period of time on one thing. Like I really think that's like the success formula. It's laser focus, one thing for an extended period of time. Like that is it. And when you have all these opportunities, you're like, yes, yes, yes. Wait, hold on. Now I don't have any time and nothing's really growing, right? It's hard.
Right. But I think I want to really automate my Amazon US and focus on other countries. Like Canada is a great opportunity, and especially the UK and Japan. So just working on growing or getting different accounts over there, having distributors in place, just figuring out the logistics of everything.
I like it. Yeah, because once you have that visualized, then you just, like you just said, like getting the systems in place. And once the systems are in place, it just runs. And that's when it's really, really fun.
And that has really set me apart from other Amazon sellers, is having that UK account, because you're not just another seller, you have a great opportunity for the brand to grow and for yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's not just another slice of the pie; it's a whole new pie. That's kind of big. That's a big deal. So, Brandon, like, where can people, if they want to reach out or find out what you're up to, where do you want people to reach out to find you and kind of converse?
With my wife, with my wife's request, she's the social media marketing guru. So she created a Instagram for us because she said she started listening to a lot of Gary Vee, and Gary Vee is all about, content,
yes,
especially on the Instagram platform. So my Instagram handle is @GrowMyAmazon. So you can check me out. We just started about 2 weeks ago, so we're really hopefully growing a following like you and Larry Labarsky.
Very cool.
So I just want to put out valuable knowledge and just ask me any questions that you have, because I really enjoy helping the community, because they've helped me get to the point where I am now.
Very cool. Awesome. So guys, reach out, get on that Gary Vee content train. I love it. Brandon,
she's also big into Chad and that side hustle, the YouTube channel as well. She's addicted to that and Reezy Resell. So much quality content out there.
Yeah.
So
she's inundated.
And she is. Yeah.
I love it. That's so cool. Well, Brandon, thanks, man, for coming on here, because we talked a lot about some stuff that I've been wanting to talk about, but haven't had somebody who's currently going through it or really understands like the UK stuff, to where we can dive into that, trade shows, all the stuff that like I really have not a lot of experience with. So thanks for coming on, sharing all that, and being transparent about, difficulties you're going through and, growth and all that good stuff.
Right. No problem. Yeah, it's not all. It's not all. I mean, you have your wins and losses in this business, but I mean, as long as you're willing to put in the effort and keep going, and just any hurdles that are thrown your way, I mean, you will definitely succeed and keep growing.
That's it, man. Awesome. Well, thank you so much.
All right, thanks, Dylan.
Before we leave, I have a huge ask. If you enjoyed this podcast and you got value from it, leave us a 5-star review on iTunes. The way we're able to have more impact on more sellers is by getting in front of them. We can do that by having more reviews and getting pushed to the top of iTunes podcasts. So leave us a review and let us know what you think of the podcast.